My name is Eileen. I am 54 years old, and for the last 3 years I have believed my greatest accomplishment was building a safety net for my only child. Seeing my daughter Madison happy in her new home with her husband Leo was my solace after losing my husband Robert. That is why the text message I got that Sunday morning while I was picking out vegetables for our weekly dinner felt like the ground crumbling beneath my feet. Before I share what that text said and how a few words on a screen shattered the world I thought I had built, I would love to know where you are joining me from today. If this story of family love and the lines we draw resonates with you, please tap that like button and consider subscribing. My name is Eileen, and this is the story of the dinner I never got to attend. I stood there in the produce aisle holding my phone, the cheerful grocery store music suddenly sounding hollow and distant. The message from Madison was brief. "Hey, Mom. Leo's had a really stressful week and wants a quiet night, just the two of us. Sorry, but can we skip dinner this week? Maybe next Sunday." My first instinct was maternal concern. Poor Leo. What happened at work, I immediately wanted to call to offer help to bring over a meal anyway. But I read the message again, and then a third time. The tone was so casual, so dismissive. It was Mom, not Mommy or Mama like she used to say. Leo wants a quiet night, not we want. Our dinner, a ritual we had maintained for 2 years straight, was canceled with a single text as if it were a casual coffee plan. I tried to respond with grace, masking my confusion. I typed back, "No problem at all, honey. Is everything okay with Leo? Do you need anything?" I hit send and waited, staring at the screen as I finished my shopping. The reply did not come until I was unloading bags onto my kitchen counter over an hour later. "He's fine. Just work. We're good." That was it. The conversation was closed. I put the groceries away, the ingredients for Madison's favorite pot roast now feeling like a burden. My apartment was too quiet. I walked over to the bookshelf and looked at our family photos. One of Robert and me on our 20th anniversary. One of Madison as a gap-toothed 7-year-old on my lap. One from her wedding day, me fixing her veil, both of us smiling through tears. A deep, aching loneliness settled in my chest. It felt like I was losing something I could not even name. I called my best friend Diane. I read her the texts. Diane, who has never been one to sugarcoat, sighed heavily on the other end of the line. "Eileen, honey, do not lie to yourself. A grateful child does not cancel a standing dinner with her mother because her husband is tired." They pick up the phone. They say, "Mom, it's been a week. Can we order pizza and just relax together?" They do not hide behind a text. Her words echoed in the silent space of my apartment, giving form to my unease. That Sunday passed with a strange, heavy emptiness. I told myself I was being too sensitive, too clingy. They were a young married couple. They needed their space. I decided that next week I would be more understanding. I would propose a lighter meal, something easy. I would be the cheerful, supportive mom who was not a burden. I clung to the hope that this was just a temporary bump in the road, a minor stress fracture in our family foundation that would heal with a little care and patience. The next Saturday, before I could even send my cheerful, revised dinner invitation, another text arrived. "Mom, Leo's parents are in town this weekend. We're going to be busy with them. Let's plan for another time." This one felt like a physical slap. His parents. They lived 2 states away. They could just pop into town and commandeer the entire weekend while my standing sacred Sunday dinner was brushed aside with a let's plan for another time. The hierarchy was painfully clear. I was no longer a priority. I could not just text back this time. I needed to hear her voice. I called. Madison answered on the 4th ring, her voice a whisper. "Mom, hi. Can't really talk." I kept my voice light, a skill honed from decades in HR. "Oh, that's okay. I just got your text. I did not know Jim and Sandra were visiting. That's a nice surprise." "Yeah, It was kind of last minute. They wanted to see the house. Leo is really close to his family, you know that. She said it so matter-of-factly as if explaining a simple truth. Leo is really close to his family. The unspoken comparison hung in the air, heavy and accusing. And what are we, Madison? What do you mean? She said, a hint of impatience creeping in. I took a breath. I just mean, are we still close, sweetheart? The silence on the line was longer than it should have been. Of course, Mom. Do not be dramatic. I have to go. Leo's calling me. Love you. The line went dead, dramatic. The word stung. Since when was wanting a connection with my daughter being dramatic? That night, a restless anxiety took hold of me. I did something I rarely do. I logged onto social media. I found Madison's profile. And there it was, posted just an hour ago. A series of pictures from a sleek modern restaurant. Madison beaming her arm linked with Leo. His parents Jim and Sandra smiling broadly. Glasses of wine raised. A caption read, "So grateful for spontaneous family time. Best surprise ever." The date stamp was that very Sunday evening. The evening she said they were too busy. The evening she canceled on me. They were not busy. They were having a wonderful, lavish dinner without me. The quiet night was a lie. The busy with his parents was a half-truth. The complete truth was simpler and crueler. I was not invited. I put the phone down and cried. These were not the tears of simple sadness from the week before. This was the deep, shuddering cry of betrayal. The dam of self-doubt broke. I was not imagining things. I was being deliberately, politely excluded from my daughter's life. And in that moment, the weight of every sacrifice I had made came crashing down. The money. Not just the down payment, but the security I had given up. The lake house cottage Robert and I had dreamed of retiring to, now just a faded brochure in a drawer. My own financial cushion deflated to fill theirs. All of it poured into the foundation of a home that was now, it seemed a fortress with the drawbridge pulled up against me. I realized then that the problem was not a stressed son-in-law. The problem was Leo himself. The grateful young man had evolved into something else. A man who saw my generosity not as a gift to be honored, but as a leverage to be used, and now perhaps a tie to be severed. And Madison was letting him. But a mother's hope is a stubborn thing. I decided a direct, kind approach was needed. No more texts. I would go to them. I would bake Madison's favorite apple pie a peace offering and show up midweek just to talk. To see her face. To reconnect without the pressure of a formal dinner. I needed to believe the daughter I raised was still in there somewhere behind those cryptic texts and social media smiles. The following Wednesday afternoon, I pulled up to their house, the one I still thought of in some small way as partly mine. It looked beautiful, the lawn neatly trimmed, the porch swing Robert and I had gifted them for their first Christmas swaying gently in the breeze. I could hear music playing from inside, something upbeat, and the sound of laughter. My heart lifted for a second. Maybe I had been wrong. Maybe things were fine. I walked up the path, the warm pie dish in my hands. I rang the doorbell. After a moment, the door opened. Madison stood there, her smile freezing and then melting into an expression of pure surprise, edged with something that looked like annoyance. Mom. What are you doing here? Behind her in the open concept living space, I saw Leo. He was standing by the kitchen island holding a drink. He did not wave or smile. He just watched. I held up the pie, my own smile feeling brittle on my face. I was just in the neighborhood. Thought I would drop off a little sweetness for my favorite couple. Madison did not move to open the door wider. She glanced back at Leo, then at me. Now is not really a good time, Mom. Leo and I are in the middle of something. Leo walked over then, standing squarely behind Madison, placing a possessive hand on her shoulder. His smile was tight, not reaching his eyes. Hi, Eileen. Yeah, it's a bit of a private evening. Maybe you should have called. The chill in his voice was unmistakable. Private evening. I should have called. I was an intruder. I kept my voice soft, pleading in a way I immediately hated. I just missed you both. Our Sunday dinners? I miss them. Leo cut me off, his gaze steady and cold. Look, Eileen, we're starting our own family traditions now. We need our space. Madison agrees. He gave her shoulder a little squeeze. Madison. My beautiful girl looked down at her feet, her cheeks flushing. She did not contradict him. She gave the smallest, most heartbreaking nod. In that moment, I saw it all clearly. This was not my daughter pushing me away. This was Leo and my daughter allowing it. The safety net I had woven had become a cage for her, and she was choosing to stay inside it even if it meant shutting me out. A profound, quiet devastation washed over me. The fight drained out of me. I nodded slowly. I bent down and placed the still warm pie dish on their welcome mat. All right. I see. Have a good evening then. I turned and walked back to my car. I held my head high, my back straight, until I slid into the driver's seat and closed the door. Then and only then did I let the silent tears fall. The drive home was a blur. The hollow ache had solidified into a sharp, cold stone in my chest. I had just been disinvited from my daughter's life to my face by her husband with her silent consent. As I walked into my dark, silent apartment, my phone buzzed. Another text from Madison. This one was longer, clearly composed with more thought, or perhaps with Leo dictating over her shoulder. Mom, I think Leo was right. We need to establish boundaries. You cannot just show up unannounced. It makes him uncomfortable. To be honest, he does not really want you coming over for our Sunday dinners anymore. It's our time as a couple. I hope you can understand and respect that. I read the words, he does not really want you coming over, again and again. They burned into my mind. After the down payment. After the mortgage help. After the love, the memories, the loss of Robert. I was being banned because my presence made him uncomfortable. The man I had helped lift up was now pushing me down. The pain was so immense it cycled back into a terrifying calm. This was the line. This was the moment of ultimate betrayal. This was not a misunderstanding to be smoothed over with a pie. This was a declaration of war on our relationship. And as I sat there in the dark, the calm hardened into a resolve as cold and sharp as diamond. If they wanted boundaries, I would give them the most definitive boundary of all. One made of financial reality, not just emotional distance. The time for being understanding, Mom, was over. I did not reply to the text. I let it sit there, a digital monument to their ingratitude. I slept poorly, but I woke up with a clarity I had not felt in years. The grief was still there, a raw wound, but it was now compartmentalized. I had a problem to solve. I called Diane. Diane, I need you to listen and not try to talk me out of this. I am done being a doormat. What are my legal options? To her credit, she heard the steel in my voice and simply said, "Tell me what you need." I outlined everything. The down payment gifted directly to Madison. The monthly transfers I made to their joint account ostensibly for half the mortgage but structured as a gift. The big-ticket items, the refrigerator, the sound system. I had co-signed the loans for those. And crucially, I was the one who paid the annual property tax bill and the homeowner's insurance premium in a lump sum every year, a birthday and holiday gift rolled into one. Diane connected me with a lawyer friend, Martin. A brief paid consultation confirmed what I suspected: the down payment was an irrevocable gift. I had no claim to the house, but the ongoing support. That was a different story. The monthly transfers were gifts I could stop at any time. The co-signed loans, I could notify the lender I was revoking my guarantee, which would likely trigger a reevaluation or a demand for full payment. The property tax and insurance, I was the payer, not the owner. I could simply stop paying. Martin advised me to do it all at once cleanly and with written notice. Do not leave any room for negotiation or guilt, he said. You are not taking anything away. You are ceasing to give. There is a monumental difference. I spent that evening at my small desk, not crying but planning. I logged into my bank's online portal and canceled the automatic monthly transfer to Madison and Leo. I drafted emails to the county tax assessor and the insurance company reviving the automatic payments I had set up and instructing them that all future correspondence and invoices should be sent directly to the homeowners Madison and Leo Carter at their address. I wrote a formal letter to the furniture finance company stating I was withdrawing my co-signer status, effective immediately, and requesting they contact the primary borrowers for all future matters. I printed every confirmation, every cancellation notice. The stack of papers felt like a strange, powerful totem. This was not an act of rage. It was a surgical strike. I was cutting the umbilical cord of financial dependency they had so come to rely on and so clearly resented me for. They owned the house, but they did not own the lifestyle that came with it. That lifestyle was about to get a very real, very expensive adjustment. Now I just had to tell them. And I would do it in the same medium they had used to dismiss me, a text message. But mine would be calm, clear, and utterly final. I took a deep breath and picked up my phone. I opened my messaging app and started a new thread, making sure to include both Madison's and Leo's numbers. I wanted no ambiguity. No, he said, she said. I wrote my message carefully, each word chosen for maximum clarity and minimum emotional engagement. Madison, Leo. I received your message about boundaries. I have given it a great deal of thought, and I agree completely. Establishing clear, healthy boundaries is essential for any relationship to thrive. To honor this new boundary you have set, and to ensure my presence or support does not create any further discomfort, I will be taking a significant step back. Effective immediately, I am withdrawing all financial support. This includes the property tax and home insurance payments, as well as the payments for the furniture loans I co-signed. I have already canceled the automatic payments. You are both capable adults with your own incomes, and I have every confidence you will manage these responsibilities on your own now. I wish you both the very best as you establish your new life together. Love, Mom. I read it over twice. It was perfect. Polite, firm, and devastating. I hit send. The reaction was faster and more furious than I had anticipated. My phone started ringing within 5 minutes. Madison. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again. Leo. I silenced it. Then the texts started flooding in. From Madison. Mom, what is this? You can't do this. What about the house? The taxes are due next month. This is so cruel. From Leo, Eileen. This is financial blackmail. We will sue you. You cannot just abandon your family. I picked up the phone when Madison called for the 5th time. Her voice was a hysterical sob. Mom, please, you are overreacting. We are sorry. Leo did not mean it like that. I spoke calmly, my voice a flat mirror of my text. Madison, you and Leo were very clear about needing space and establishing your own life. I am respecting that. My financial support was part of the old dynamic. I am simply aligning my actions with your stated wishes. I have every faith you will handle it. Then Leo came on the line, his voice tight with rage. Listen here, you bitter old woman. This is not over. We will get a lawyer. You gifted that money. I felt a surreal detachment. Leo, all of it was a gift. There are no contracts. You are welcome to consult a lawyer. And regarding the furniture loans, I have already informed the lender I am no longer a co-signer. You will be hearing from them shortly. Good luck to you both. I ended the call and for my own peace blocked both their numbers temporarily. The silence that followed was profound. I knew the shock waves were just beginning for them. The property tax bill, which I usually paid in October, was a 5-figure sum. Their insurance would now be billed monthly at a higher rate without the annual discount. The furniture loans had hefty monthly payments. Leo's commission-based salary and Madison's teacher pay had never had to absorb these costs. Their comfortable life was about to get very uncomfortable very fast. Over the next few days, a few texts got through from unknown numbers, probably from Madison's friends' phones. The tone shifted from anger to desperation. "Mom, please. We are sorry. We were stressed. Can we talk? You are tearing our family apart?" I read them with a sad, distant pity. The apologies were not for hurting me. They were for jeopardizing their financial comfort. The distinction was everything. I did not respond. I had said all I needed to say. My actions were my final word. I unblocked them after a week, but the calls and texts had stopped. The silence from their end was louder than any shouting. It was the sound of reality setting in. The first month was harder than I expected. The finality of it all washed over me in waves. I felt unmoored guilty at times and deeply sad. My apartment felt emptier than ever, but I also felt a glimmer of something new agency. For the first time in years, my money was my own. My time was my own. My emotional energy was my own. I forced myself to do small things. I signed up for that pottery class at the community center. I met Diane for coffee every Tuesday. I spent whole Saturday afternoons reading in my armchair by the window, something I had never allowed myself time for. I started a small budget not out of scarcity, but out of intention. The money I was no longer sending to Madison was now a line item labeled for Eileen. Diane, who had a friend who lived in their neighborhood, occasionally heard snippets. She told me gently that Madison and Leo had been seen having a heated argument in their driveway, that they had taken out a high-interest personal loan from his parents to cover the property tax, that the new expensive sound system was listed for sale online. The financial stress was fracturing the very facade of their perfect life they had tried so hard to protect from me. Hearing this did not bring me joy. It brought a profound, weary sadness. It confirmed that the foundation of our relationship had been built on sand, and my financial withdrawal was just the tide going out, revealing the shaky ground beneath. Then a surprise. A call from a former colleague, Brenda, who now ran a small nonprofit that helped older women re-enter the workforce. They needed a part-time HR consultant to review their policies. Would I be interested? I said yes. The work was modest, but it gave me a purpose outside of my grief. It reminded me I was Eileen, a professional, a person with skills, not just a rejected mother. The biggest shift came 3 months after the text. I found a handwritten letter in my mailbox, Madison's looping script on the envelope. My heart hammered as I opened it. It was not an angry letter. It was a raw, painful, and startlingly mature apology. She wrote about the pressure she felt from Leo to create a new life separate from her past. She wrote about how she had begun to see my support as an obligation, a debt that made her feel guilty rather than a gift given out of love. She admitted she let him dictate the terms of our relationship because it was easier than confronting him. The line that made me weep read, "Losing your support forced me to see things clearly. I saw how entitled we had become. I saw how I had traded my relationship with you for a false sense of security with him. Leo and I are in marriage counseling. It is hard, but I needed this wake-up call. I do not expect anything from you, Mom. I just needed you to know I am sorry." It was not a request for reconciliation. It was an acknowledgement. It was the first real, unprompted truth I had heard from her in over a year. It did not fix everything. The wound was still there, but it was no longer infected with lies and entitlement. She was finally seeing the same reality I had been forced to see. That was the first fragile step. Healing, I am learning, is not a straight line. It is not a happy ending where everything is forgiven and forgotten. For me, healing has been about building a new life around the space that was left. I did not rush into a reunion with Madison. We began slowly to exchange emails, not about anything heavy, about a book she was reading, about the stubborn squirrel on my balcony, about the weather. It was tentative, like relearning a language we had both forgotten. There was no talk of money, no talk of Leo, no talk of dinners. It was just connection. On new terms. It may never be what it was, and I am learning to be at peace with that. Sometimes you cannot rebuild the old house. You have to accept that you live in different ones now, and maybe just visit each other's gardens. I used some of the money I saved to take a small trip. I went to the Oregon coast, a place Robert and I had always talked about visiting. I stood on the beach, the wind whipping my hair, the vast gray ocean stretching to the horizon, and I felt small in the best way. My problems, my heartbreak, were just a tiny part of this huge, beautiful, indifferent world. And in that moment, I understood the lesson in my bones. Love is not a blank check. It is not an endless well you drain until you are hollow. True love, especially for a child, sometimes means having the strength to say no. It means letting them stumble, letting them face the consequences of their choices, even when every fiber of your being wants to cushion the fall. Enabling disrespect is not love. It is a slow form of self-annihilation. I had to choose myself, not out of spite, but out of survival. And in choosing myself, I may have given my daughter the chance to find herself again too. My worth at 54 is no longer tied to being Madison's mom or Robert's widow or the family bank. It is tied to being Eileen, the woman who survived the loss of her husband, the woman who had the courage to withdraw her generosity when it was being used as a weapon against her, the woman who is taking a pottery class and might just make a lopsided vase. That woman is enough. The house I helped buy still stands. From the outside, it looks perfect. But the real home, the one built on mutual respect and gratitude, had already collapsed long before I canceled those payments. You cannot force someone to value you. All you can do is stop funding the version of themselves that does not. And then you build a new life on your own solid ground, with the quiet, hard-won peace that comes from knowing you finally showed up for yourself. If you have ever had to set a painful boundary with someone you love, you know how heartbreaking and necessary it is. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. How do you know when enough is enough? Your stories and support mean the world. If this resonated with you, please give this video a like. It truly helps. And if you want to join me for more conversations about life, family, and finding our footing, please consider subscribing and sharing this with someone who might need to hear it today. Thank you for listening to my story. Remember, your peace is worth protecting. Be kind to yourselves out there.